2, 3, 4.
What would you talk about on your podcast?
5, 7, 8.
Hello, 9, 10, 11.
Elvis Duran presents
12,
13,
14,
15.
the 15-minute morning show.
All right, here we go. We've got 15 minutes. We have a special guest today. Around the table, we've got Scary.
Hi.
We've got Dave Brodie.
Hello.
Those are the Brooklyn boys.
They are.
In that order.
And here's Danielle.
Hello.
Straight Nate. And we welcome radio's best friend, Art Vuolo.
Hey, I was born in Brooklyn.
Were you really? What part of Brooklyn are you from?
No, I'm not from there. I was born there in a hospital. They tore it down.
Okay.
I told them all they had to do was fumigate the place, but no, they tore the entire hospital down. It was the old Naval Hospital out by Floyd Bennett Field.
That's way out there.
wow.
It's way out there.
My father flies his planes there.
Yeah, well, my father was a pilot. My last name means fly in Italian.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
That's why the
Vuolo.
Yeah, Volo Vino. You see them in the airport. They sell the wine for your flight. That's what it means.
Wow, look at that.
Interesting.
That's why
See?
all pilots drink wine before flying. Okay.
Bada bing.
So
Where's your rim shot?
What we love about Art Vuolo is he is sort of radio's historian in a way.
In a way.
Now, explain to everyone how you and I met back in the early 90s and what it is you do that a lot of radio people are familiar with.
Well, what I do is I archive on video radio personalities. There's a guy by the name of Shotgun Tom Kelly out on the West Coast who, with an 8mm movie camera, BV, before video, and he went into his station that he was at B100 out in San Diego, and he did a video of all the DJs on the air.
Now, Shotgun Tom Kelly, is that his legal born name?
No, anybody whose last name is Kelly or Duran, it can't be Duran.
Oh, hey
Oh,
now.
no.
Hey now.
That's his real name.
I know.
Yeah.
All right, so you started, you took over.
So I saw the video and I said, wow, we all know what an air check of a radio station is, listening to it on tape, how the station sounds. I said, this is a video air check. You can see the body language and see what goes on in the studio. It's like being what Gary Bryan calls a window licker, and people that, us young kids that wanted to just put our face up against the window and watch DJs while they did their thing.
It's interesting. And,
It is.
And it was just it wasn't until recently when people were watching us live online that people got to see what we look like, which I hate, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
I'd rather you hear me and not know what I look like, but it's too late.
There's no more theater of the mind.
No.
Exactly. So how many different radio hosts have you recorded and distributed through your career? Do you
Probably
know?
close to 1,000.
Wow.
Yeah. And your next question, of course, is going to be who wouldn't let you do it? And there's only been three.
Who?
There's only been three. Howard
Stern.
Howard Stern has never let me in. Rick D is hard to believe.
He's a big radio guy from Los Angeles.
Los Angeles.
He was.
And who was that? Oh, and Jonathan Brandmeier.
And big radio guy from Chicago.
Yeah,
right?
Chicago, L.A., and New York. So the three biggest markets.
And what was
Those are-
their reasoning?
Well, I'm told that Rick Dees didn't want anybody to see the kind of control board that he worked on because, unlike today's modern control panels, in radio stations, he didn't like the slider controls. He liked the kind you turn, rotary, what they call rotary pots. Yeah,
right.
And pod.
How come Howard wouldn't want you in?
Pod is the name of the control, not
Yes.
marijuana. Howard, I don't know. Howard is strange. What kind?
Strange. See, Howard's the best in the business.
I know, but he maybe just I don't know.
He's got his own cameras.
Well, I'll tell you why. I think he's mad at me for the fact that I have a video of him from a TV station in Detroit where he was in Detroit at W4 Radio in Detroit on his knees begging into the video camera, please tune me in, give me a chance. I just bought a new car, American. I'm quoting exactly what he said. And he said, give me 15 minutes. He was begging for listeners because nobody in Detroit had ever heard of Howard Stern.
Wow.
And he hates the fact
that sounds like a great thing to do to get listeners.
But he doesn't like that he was groveling.
I'm not going to let you bash Howard Stern on my show.
No, I'm not bashing Howard, but he was new down. And he doesn't like the fact that I have
No,
that.
But I think that's a great video, and I would
Yeah.
think that he would have put that in something.
I have to agree with Danielle. I think he would like that. I just don't think he wanted you making money selling a video of him.
I don't make any money off.
Anyway, down to Dave Brodie. What Brodie?
Well, my question was, the three names you mentioned, Jonathan Brandmeier, Howard Stern, and Rick Dees, they're all television personalities. They're all bigger than radio stars. It seems ironic they wouldn't want to be on video, and yet all the guys behind the scenes that are never on camera all said yes.
Isn't that weird?
I said yes because I'm a freaking loser.
Well, and another weird thing that just happened in Detroit, we just had Dick Burton was a very big Detroit disc jockey, and Dick, his daughter, worked at Channel 7 for 20 years, and another guy from Channel 7 in Detroit are now on a station in Detroit radio. They went from TV to radio. Unusual. Usually it goes the other way around.
Right.
And the program director was nervous for me to be in the studio on their first day on the air with my camera. I said, they're TV people. Camera's not going to bother them.
Right.
He goes, oh, yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah, see, I get it. Radio and TV, they're not the same, though.
Yeah.
Communicating on TV. Look, this is boring. Look, can
Oh,
we
I'm
talk about
sorry.
something else? Let's talk.
Anything you want.
I want to talk about the exciting stuff you do. First of all, he is radio's best friend, Art Vuolo.
Well, I didn't come up with that, though. You don't.
We
make
did.
people
It
think
doesn't
that-
matter. Doesn't matter. We love him. He promotes everything we do
I
and
do.
has for many years.
Yes.
Now, I met you back in the early 90s here at Z100 in
Yes.
New York.
That's right.
And you came in and you
In
video
Secaucus.
in Secaucus, New Jersey. He used to videotape us, and we had cake fights, and we had a lot of
Yeah.
fun, whatever.
Oh man, what we did back then in Secaucus.
We used to destroy that
We
place.
destroyed that place.
Well, the funny thing, and I shouldn't say that. He got mad at me, and I love this man.
I get mad at
Elvis?
Art Vuolo
But
all
he
the
got
time.
he got mad at me
Why?
because he didn't want that cake fight thing on the internet, and yet we look back now, it is one of the best, funniest bits ever
Yeah.
done on radio.
Oh, can we do it
was
again?
hysterical. I mean, it really was. You must admit. Okay, come on.
Throwing cake in someone's face.
Well, Steve Aoki took a note out of that.
yeah, that's right. Maybe Steve Aoki saw your video and said, "I'm stealing this."
Exactly.
That was a lot of fun, and I did in fact I did a video retrospective, which you're heavily featured in, of the first 10 years of Z100.
Okay, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's back up.
What?
You go around the country and you videotape all these personalities, providing content over radio stations and online, whatever, and then you sell it.
Nobody
but you're
pays
saying, but you don't make money off
No,
of that.
nobody pays me.
Well,
Nobody.
how do you make a living?
By the grace of God.
No, really.
No,
I mean,
no. I had a company for 33 years that published radio guides so people could find out their favorite radio stations when they travel on road trips. And I put out over 100 million of those little radio guides in conjunction with radio stations all over the country.
so that's how you made your millions.
I never made millions. I live in a very small house in suburban Detroit.
Okay, so Art, let's talk about how radio has turned into what it is today. It really isn't. I don't want to call it radio anymore.
It isn't, and it's just that it's like even I, who love radio passionately, I go to sleep with my cell phone. I wake up to my cell phone. I listen to the radio stations on my cell phone. The other day, I was driving in New Jersey, and I said, "This is so cool." I'm in New Jersey, and I was bouncing between 4 radio stations that are all on iHeartRadio, and I could just touch the screen and switch from Detroit to Miami to New York. It was great.
It's
It was
cool,
wonderful.
right?
Yeah.
So, a lot of purists who are from the era of Art Vuolo's days, when he first started and when I first started, they don't like this. They don't like the digital age that we're living in. And I hate to say digital age because even that sounds old.
Right.
But I find it more exciting than ever. The opportunities, like this podcast, for instance.
Oh, yeah. Podcasts are huge. I did one with a guy named Matt Kundle up in Canada, and it was 1 hour and 7 minutes. It was the second longest one he ever did, ever. And he said it's trending higher than any that he has. It's way ahead of everybody else.
Why are
And
you
it makes
shaking
me
your
feel
head,
good.
Brodie?
Well, we do the Brooklyn Boys podcast, and when we first started doing the podcast, people were saying, keep it to 15, 20
Yeah.
minutes. Nobody
Yeah.
can listen for longer than
Well,
that.
that's why this is a 15-minute morning show
Right,
podcast.
right. Well, we started just talking and doing 1 hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20, and people said, longer. We want more. They want to sit in their car. They want to let it spend the day with them, and we can't do one long enough for people.
And they
Yeah.
wanted to pick up where they leave off.
Right.
Like, it's crazy through the week. It's
Well,
insane. They listen in 15, 20-minute blocks.
I did one in Detroit on an FM talk station in Detroit.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to go an hour. It was a 5-hour show. We had so many calls. We had so much interest. We went the full 5 hours, and it went by like 5 minutes.
So let me ask you this. Why do you think what seems to be an art form that is lost
An art form. Very nice.
and has now been revised to something new, why are people so still into it? Even people who weren't around during the golden days of what they say radio was. Why do you think it's so interesting?
Why radio was so interesting?
Yeah.
Well, it's a very personal medium. It's very intimate. I mean, you wake up to it. Some people take it in the shower with them into the bathroom. I got 3 radios in my bathroom. You know how many radios I have?
Why do you need 3 radios in your bathroom?
Well, because one right next to the John, I can one over by the sink, and
you got a big bathroom.
A shower radio. Well, no, it's not that big. I have 5 radios surrounding my bed. You want to take a shot how many radios are in my house? And it's only a 1,500 square foot house.
I have no idea how many.
42 radios.
You really do love radio.
You just need one.
And I go into most people's house, I have to search for radio. That's why everybody in the radio business now is excited about Alexa. Because they think, I shouldn't even say that because somebody might be listening, might be answering them right now, but they think this is what's going to bring radio back into the home. And I hope it does. Because there was a time when radio was very popular in the home. You had a radio in every room.
That's a very good point you just made about how, Amazon Echo, Alexa,
Echo,
and the Google Home, whatever it is, they are truly bringing back that speaker that plays radio, and we didn't even know it. They snuck it back in there.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
I think that's really very, very cool. And you're doing a darn good job. I mean, I never imagined that you were going to have the not that you weren't good, but it's just that it's sort of like another friend of ours, Jim Kerr. Jim Kerr, who's on another station in New York here. I mean, I knew Jim when he was 14 years old.
Oh,
okay, I gave him
Jim.
a couch to sleep on when he had no place to go. I picked him up in the middle of the night when his dad threw him out of the house. I mean, let me tell you. I mean, it's like, and now I look at him and he's the longest running. Now that Imus is off the radio, he's the longest running New York radio personality.
I know, it's crazy.
And he's
With
the
42
sweetest guy.
years, and nicest person in the world. And I just think, God, I remember when he actually used the name Jim Curtis on the air. He didn't think he'd use his name Jim Kerr. But I have pictures. I will send you a picture of him with the little blonde hair and all this stuff.
Little Jimmy Kerr.
Yeah.
It's so funny how radio is one of those things that it lingers.
Like an odor.
Like an odor. It stings like a bad fart. But there are so many things that were huge and prevalent in the entertainment business back in the day that really aren't the same anymore. We're kind of holding on. And a lot of people who are running digital industries these days say, well, radio's it's a thing of the past. It's a dinosaur. Well, call it that if you want, but we are now digital. Mm-hmm. We have snuck an old form of communication into a new package of delivery. Well, and it's all digital now.
I think a lot of people do want to see what's going on in the studios and what have you. They want to see that. That's why my video air checks, I think, are so popular. And in fact, if you go on the internet, and let me do a shameless plug here.
Do it.
Because first of all, I was very honored a couple of years ago, and you were inducted, and that was the same night that they announced that all the videos I've shot over all the years are going to go into a special exhibit. That's going to be a permanent exhibit in the Radio Hall of Fame at the Museum of Broadcast Communications in Chicago.
Right.
Where people can go in and they can, like in the old language lab in the high school, and you put headphones on and you have a screen in front of you and a keyboard, and you can just punch up Elvis Duran. You want to see him in the early days and what have you, and it'll come right up on the screen. So that's what they're going to do, and I was very, very flattered by that. And I think that the thing that makes it so special is that people can now see how it's evolved over the years. They can see when people were playing records on turntables,
vinyl,
and then they had all the records were put on tape cartridges that looked like little 8-track tapes, and that's how they played the songs on the air. And then they went to the CDs, and now everything's in an audio vault and a computer, and you touch screens and what have you. I think it's amazing to watch the evolution over the almost 40 years that I've been videotaping in radio studios from one end of the country to the other. And that's why, tomorrow night on Friday, tomorrow's the 9th, I guess it is, or the 8th of June, they're giving me a special award, a Lifetime Achievement Award, which I was shocked when I heard about this because of what I've been doing for the industry. And I've been just doing what I love.
You do it what you love.
I love it.
Let's talk
but
about.
I don't get paid to do this.
Let's talk about one more thing that's advancing in this business, and that's women in radio. Women in radio, Danielle, used to be just the gig. They were forced to be just the giggly thing in the corner, who just agreed with everything.
That's right.
And now, believe me, Danielle, when Danielle speaks, she takes over this room. This is her. This is her room.
I'm not going to giggle. Well, I do giggle a lot.
I know.
But I'll tell you like it is.
In fact, one of the very first radio stations I ever did was WIFE in Indianapolis at one time. Great radio station, And they said they had an afternoon drive host that was female.
And that was
it
unusual back then.
Very unusual. This is 1979.
Wow.
Nobody was doing stuff like that, so it was really great. And now women are all over the place. I was just at an awards banquet the other night for a high school radio station, and everybody was a woman.
Nice.
That's awesome.
I love to hear that.
Let's hear it for the women taking over.
Yeah.
They're taking over.
Angie Martinez, by the way, up for the Radio Hall of Fame. You can vote for her
Ellen K.
at radiovote.org. Thank you, Art Vuolo.
Thank you, Elvis.
The 15-minute morning show.